Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you and a fine Lawn Maintenance Tuesday to you and yours. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but hey, if you do miss stuff, we got you covered. All 3 hours going to be posted upon the conclusion of the program, both to iTunes and our own audio vault. You can always email us if you like, jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. You can find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. That's a good thing. And these days, we're kind of everywhere. I think Tom's going to be experimenting today. I know we're on YouTube.
That's correct. We are also on Periscope.
Are we currently on Periscope?
Yeah, it's working right now. There it is.
Hey, Periscope. Yeah. How about that? So what does that mean for folks? Let's break it down. They go on to the Twitter there, and they follow the 97.9 ESPN radio Twitter handle there. Yeah. And then we're periscoping.
Yeah, exactly right. At 979 ESPN Radio on Twitter, and then there's a live video there. It's just one press of the button, and there you go.
Do we need to set it up so that in due time we can intermittently have that show up on the Jeff Cameron feed and the J Cameron Show feed and the @_Tom Lang, Tom @_Lang or whatever? I can't remember.
@_Tom Lang.
I had it right. Yeah. So should we do that at some point?
We can. I mean, you could just retweet it right now, though, and then there you go. Then people can find it. I mean, for your many, many followers, your thousands and thousands of followers.
All right. Well, I gotta get it. I gotta get it situated. I wasn't situated, Tom. I'm not beholden to the Twitter during the show, and sometimes I'm not situated. You catch me off guard then.
Well, no, I mean, listen, this is the maiden voyage, and if it doesn't work, then, I want to promote the hell out of it.
Well, yeah, let's promote the stuff that doesn't work.
Right, that's why this is the test voyage, and if it works, then we're going to launch it every day.
You wrote on there testing. This is from an hour ago, so I didn't need...
That's not the one. No, there's a newer one.
Tweets.
Yeah.
There'll be new tweets that just occurred. Yeah, I'll find it, and we'll get that done. Hey, look at this. What is this? We got W's and L's to get to? I just now saw that.
Yeah, tomorrow the schedule is released for the ACC football season.
You know how much we love and enjoy doing W's and L's in January, right after the season ends, especially with all of the certainties that we have currently in place. By the way, and I mean this as a compliment to you, Clemson, what are they paying Clemson players these days? Because we need to emulate what they're doing with players that we don't want to leave.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
It's very impressive. 4 guys, 4 defensive linemen. Yeah, we're coming back. I mean, 2 of them are surefire first or early second rounders. What are we doing at Clemson? Damn it, man. Between the Bama table with the right nutritional game plan for victory, and then whatever family atmosphere they've fostered at Clemson, we're going to have to adapt. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, it would be the Bama table and the Clemson 401k, I guess.
The investment firms at Clemson, it's really impressive. I will say, and me and a friend were joking about this earlier, that in truth, those guys, they love Dabo. They love him. I mean, really love him. Immensely love him. And maybe he's just convinced them somehow, some way that, you know what, go ahead and turn down millions of dollars and come on back and be part of the family one more time. You already have rings. Go, take it on down the road. There's no reason. That's just bad news. I woke up, 2 things happened to me today. I woke up and I felt like crap, and then I read that. I went, well, this is the kind of day we're off to here.
Now I feel worse.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Now my stomach hurts.
Damn it, man. All right, so Florida State lost, and yesterday we were off for the holiday. Happy Martin Luther King, belated Martin Luther King Day to all of you who enjoyed the holiday and took time to reflect. You know, one thing I'll say is that had we been on, and this is true, I really didn't think there was a chance in hell we'd win last night's game. And we didn't. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not disturbed by some elements of last night's game that have been kind of carryover effects and are very, very frustrating. 2 things are plaguing Florida State right now that are somewhat critical to basketball success. They can't shoot, and they're not defending anybody. That about sums it up, right? That's it in a nutshell. A team that could shoot and was amongst the nation's best and certainly the conference's best from beyond the arc are now mired in a 10 for 50 slump from beyond the arc. They can't, literally. And they can't make shots. And Phil Kofer woke up and remembered he was Phil Kofer. And so now he's back to just being Phil Kofer and still trying to make shots, and that's not good. And I do believe, and the reason, so real quick, somebody would say, well, why would you have predicted that we were going to lose last night's game to Boston College? A couple things. If you haven't been paying attention, this isn't the same sorry bunch at Boston College that we're accustomed to seeing. I mean, that's a program that has been mired in the basement of the ACC. They're 3-3 currently in the conference. Of course, they knocked off Duke earlier this year, and they think about it. They've won a total of 2 ACC games in 2 years, and they're already 3-3, and they have played well. If you even look at their road losses, they've been impressive, very impressive. So that's not the same team we're accustomed to seeing. You come off a double overtime game, and you play that on Saturday. You turn right around on Monday and fly up to play that game. Boston College comes off a game where they don't have to play. Oddly enough, the schedule makers, what's going on here? They didn't have – who plays a non-conference game at this juncture? It's bizarre.
No, I mean, outside of, the SEC Big 12 thing that they do, which kind of happens in the middle of conference season, typically you don't play that type of team that BC played, in the second week in January.
Yeah, so they're playing an Ivy League school and resting starters, and then we're turning around and having to play after that double overtime game, this game against that group, and it looked like it, right? Legs were dead, couldn't finish around the rim, couldn't knock down outside jump shots, didn't get back and play good defense, and I thought they would have tired legs. So here's the deal. What's becoming very clear is that the second half of the Louisville game has put this team in a bind. Choking that game away has really hurt this team. They have, because your margin for error is now very minimal. And I'm not, I've been around the block a time or two and known not to panic through 6 games of the ACC. They play a stretch of 3 games after they get these 5 days off, which they very much need, that are all winnable. But even if you lose to the Virginia Tech team that you play on the road next, and that's a distinct possibility because they're pretty good at home. If you fall to 2-5, I see it now. Everybody's going to be jumping off the cliff. I got it. They're already starting to. I mean, I'm getting more ding-ding tweets and emails at this juncture of the season than one would think is warranted, but that's what's happened. Ding-ding. And so, fine. I expect that. I expect the Sky is Falling group to be doing that. But even if you lose that game and you come home and beat Georgia Tech, which if you're any good at all, you got to do. You just got to do that. You got to protect your home court and win that game. And, in fact, if you're a tournament team, you got to win the one after that against Miami as well. And worst case scenario, you're 4-5 in that situation, and it's time to hunker down, play ball, and be the bubble team we thought you'd be, right? I mean, that's kind of the hard part about looking at a team that you think is better than predicted but not great and that you think will reside somewhere in the neighborhood of the bubble. This is what happens. Bubble teams surprise sometimes. You watch them, you say, wow, they're really good. They're going to cruise on into the tournament. And then the next time you watch them, you go, oh, they're not very good. This team's not going to make the tournament. Then you watch them again and you go, I think they're going to make the tournament. And then they don't play real well the next contest and you go, this is not a tournament team. This team's not making the tournament. That's how bubble teams play. Now, they can shoot a lot better than they're shooting, and I think they will. And they have to defend. We go back to this, Tom. The thing that pissed me off, and it's happened now for 3 games in a row, was that at least the second half of that Louisville game, we talked a little bit about they felt sorry for themselves. We saw it against Miami too, where they weren't playing well offensively, and then they let it affect their defense. And you don't have that wiggle room. You can't do that. Now they're very good on the offensive glass. I mean, that's really one of the only reasons they're in games. They're very, very good on the offensive glass. They get lots of opportunities lately, too. But they do clean the glass, and they find a way to fight back and be in these games because of it. But you have got to be better on the defensive end because you're not going to be an elite, consistently elite, I should say, offensive scoring team.
Yeah, I think the hard part, though, is, and you're right to say that, bubble teams, you can change your tune on them with one result and one 40-minute effort. But this has been streaky because every game until the Miami game was tough. We knew that was going to be a tough spot, given that Miami had lost to Georgia Tech previous to our trip down there to Coral Gables. So I'm going to throw that one away as a wash.
Well,
maybe a transitional game.
We had also just come off the games against Duke and North Carolina.
Correct, yeah. But, every game up to that point, you play well enough to say, wow, well, they're just better. They're just better than expected because even in losses, like the loss to Duke or the loss to Oklahoma State, they're right there. They're right. That's on the road against Duke. So you feel really, really good. The Miami game, they fight, but, it was the first half that doomed them. But then there's 3 games in a row where I go, whoa, now this is a trend. This isn't just in you. Like, you don't just have an egg in you. This is now a trend. And I'm worried that the offense that we saw up to the midpoint, or, well, I should say up to the midpoint of ACC play so far, is perhaps more of a rosy picture than reality. And this one, obviously we're not going to be this bad for the rest of the season, I don't think. But I'm a little worried because if Phil Kofer is what he is these last 3 games, and that's what, his career would suggest prior to the season, that has me a little worried. If CJ really doesn't pick it up and play with consistency, especially out the gate, moving forward, where is the scoring going to come from? Angola can do it, Man can do it, but they can't do it consistently enough to carry you. And the thing that befuddled me last night was that we just came off a game where we played a 2-3, and I get Boston College was spreading its zone a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But you have the formula of how to beat the zone. We figured it out in the second half. We triggered into the high key area, and then from there we let Kumaje rule the day. That was a really confusing effort beyond the fact that they should have tired legs. There was more to it than that last night.
I think so, but I really think it's hard to get a great read. Let's see what they look like. They need this break. And they've got it now. And it's been a tough stretch, but they need this little break here to get their legs and to get right and obviously work on a couple of things. I will say this. You can't continue to be a lower echelon team in the ACC defensively and expect to win. That we know. So they got to find a way to get better there. I do think the shooting will come back some. Again, it would explain a lot of the misses around the rim as well as jump shots not going down. When you don't have your legs, you can expect that. And I think it also explains sometimes in transition where they struggle to get back on defense too. So I kind of chalked up last night, especially the ugly start. My fear was I thought if they don't get off to a good start in this game, they're going to get buried. It's kind of what happened, and they do.
The score is not indicative. They get it to a couple possessions, but come on now.
And that's one thing I do like about the team, though. We do know they're not going to get blown out in ACC play. They're just not. They're going to be in games. They've got a ton of heart. They do have that. That's why the fans, angry as they might be at 2-4, or as concerned as they might be, that's maybe a better way of describing it. They do like the team. They do, because they're eminently likable. They fight. They scrap. They love one another. They play very, very hard. They're lacking in some areas, and I don't think that gets better. That's just the byproduct of losing 3 NBA guys.
Yeah, I get there's a ton of points scored, especially in the second half and the overtimes against Syracuse. But the problem to me is this has also been unwatchable as they're having struggles. The second half, Louisville obviously was pretty bad. First half, Syracuse was ugly.
The first half, BC was ugly.
Well, we got to a point where I had to turn it off and come back. I did. No, there was a transition possession in the second half.
I love how I do like that you're invested.
But I had to. Okay, so Kofor cleans the glass, and we're on a break. We had just made a big basket. So it's like, okay, let's see if we can whittle this thing down to 10. And he's leading the break, and he's got a chance to outlet up the court. And here we go. And then we got numbers 2-on-1 at the basket. And then he decides to settle for a 30-footer. And it's off the back iron, and he was already cold to begin with. I had to turn it off at that point. It's just we had seemed so in control in transition. I think that's another thing that's a little bit concerning. We're making a lot more turnovers in the fast break than we had shown in the non-conference portion of the season and the early portion of conference. So there's just a lot of little things that I thought I could count on. I'm not so sure I can count on those anymore. And that's the hard part of when you're trying to project out an ACC schedule that's going to be tough night in and night out. Georgia Tech's, even a team, they could rise up and beat Miami.
It's the ACC. Got to play well. It's a tough conference. Short of Pitt, there's everybody in this league can beat you.
So it's a damn it man moment. It's like, okay, now we got some time to lick our wounds here and just, get settled and then make our trip up to Blacksburg. But, it's not a must win on Saturday, but you got to look good. You got to be able to look good offensively.
Well, certainly I'd like to believe that they could look a lot better than they have, especially when they come off the rest that they're going to get now. I think they will. But a team that's going to be a bubble team, a team that is, I think, that you project. I did project they'd make the tournament. I'll stand by that. But I will say that a team that is a marginal tournament team is one that's going to give you too many damn it man moments for your liking. And that's just really, I mean, if you're not a dominant team or a really good team, then you're going to be a team that frustrates fan base. And I get that completely because I get frustrated too. Believe me, I do. I do think, though, that having the perspective of knowing what they just came off of with the double overtime game, turning right around and playing a Monday night game against a BC team that the perception is certainly that you're going to go up there and beat that team. But that's for people that haven't been paying attention to this BC team, which is infinite. You got to give them all the credit in the world. You talk about completely flipping the script. That's a tough team. Now, they're not elite.
Right.
But they play well at home, and they've played well on the road. I mean, they have a close loss to NC State on the road. They have like a 1-point loss to somebody else. They've played well.
Yeah, I agree. And context, it matters. And last night there is context to that situation. There's no doubt about that. But to me, the hard part is that you also have to revise the stance because I was ready after the 12-game non-conference slate, a couple of games ACC to declare this is a good team.
Well, they went down on the road and they slammed Florida. That's a big win for them. That Rutgers win was a good win for them. And, their only loss was a 1-point game, frustrating loss,
right.
But against a decent Oklahoma State team. So you thought, okay.
Right. Well, and then you have the efforts on the road at Duke, and then you come back and play North Carolina, and
win
you play
that
really
game.
well in those two games. And so to me, it's a good team that's better than the bubble level. But now context matters again. You put 3 efforts in a row. That tells me this isn't a blip on the radar. Everybody can lay an egg for a night, but you have 3 efforts in a row where you go, well, I'm not so sure we're going to shoot 45% for the rest of the season in a game.
I think the encouraging thing there, though, and I'm not trying to be the eternal optimist because when the time to press the panic button hits, I'll press it. But I will say that despite what we're describing in this little 3-game stretch is, first of all, they're 1-2 in that stretch, and secondly, they're in every one of them with a chance to either pull it out or, in fact, they do win it. The double overtime game. So
I totally hear you. And the Louisville game, that's eminently winnable given the position you're in at halftime. Well, how many times are you going to win that game if the score is the way it is at half?
Still really hurts. Still, that's the one. Because I promise you this, if they would have held on, and it's a big if, they didn't. They're 3-3 right now. No, we're not saying anything.
Yeah.
No, you can have concerns about elements of the team.
3-point shooting is something we lived on to this point now. We can't count on it.
What I mean is you'd say, look, they've got some areas that are disconcerting, and I hope this improves or else it's going to cost us down the line. But from a record standpoint, you wouldn't be as angst-ridden.
No, they'd be on pace to comfortably make the tournament. Now they're a bubble-level team.
Right.
And I think they're playing like a bubble-level team. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, I think, too, and it'll be very interesting, and by the way, because the ACC is good and fun to watch, for example, tonight watching Clemson and North Carolina. Where the hell did Clemson come from? Clemson and North Carolina.
Exactly.
Right. So, okay. So here's the thing about that. Because the league's good, I think you can go 8-10. I think you can go 8-10 and make the NCAA tournament. Now, I'd like to be 500 and just get this out of the way, but I think you can go 8-10. Again, you don't want to be in that position. But if what you're fighting for is basically, 6 more wins, if you have some quality wins in there, they already do. You might be all right. Now, let's not push the envelope. Let's not wait and see if that's what it's going to take. But I do think you could. It's just something as an aside when you're watching the league, you can say, all right, well, let's see what their record is.
And it's completely possible the team, the proverbial ball needs to go through the hoop for this team. They just need to see
some shots go down
early in a game and then calm them down, and so they can get into what they do best. But you mentioned it earlier today too when we were off the air. Koumadje coming back is a good thing, but it's also a complicating thing.
It really is, and I've talked a little bit about this with some people over there trying to figure out, I think that it's hurt us in terms of flow. His return and getting him reacclimated and getting him back into game shape and knowing the amount of minutes to play him and where to play him and how to play him and against which matchups you like to play him has been a bit of a problem. And you hate to say that about a guy that can provide something for you. I mean, the second half of the Syracuse game, obviously, he was a big component to that victory. So you do wonder about that. But you got to find a way to work him back in. But there's very obvious moments in games now where you can see his presence has slowed this group down.
No, the most frustrating basket last night is the one right before the half where they hit him on an oop. And I go, well, okay, listen, we already discovered this. Not 48 hours ago. We already discovered this. So that was a little frustrating that, he's back on the court getting good minutes. That we didn't like to attack their zone the same way we did Syracuse zone. I know it's a little bit different, the two zones, but still.
Yeah, well, and it's odd that we were able to solve the Syracuse zone and not the BC zone. Syracuse was famous.
Right.
And executed exceptionally well, typically. You know, and then,
I mean, how many times last night did we dribble into trouble?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Many.
Very frustrating, buddy.
Yes.
Well, hang in there. Hang in there, buddy. It's a ride. It's a roller coaster. It can be very aggravating. Basketball is a weird sport that way. People get angry about basketball. It makes me interested. I mean, football it's omnipresent. I don't know how to describe. Maybe it's just because you play once a week. You don't have so many games. You don't have so much evidence of one thing or the other. I don't know what it is, but basketball can leave your emotions, that runs the well dry.
We talked about it on Saturday at the ESPN Tallahassee Corner Pocket Executive Suite.
Oh, what a vista.
This is the sport for me. Like, I get more emotional. I don't get emotional with hockey. I've watched it my entire life. Right. Football, I can kind of analytically look at it because you have time to, you get mad about a play, but then you have a time, 30, 40 seconds to look at it.
Can you get mad about a play? Because I want to talk about one play next since we didn't get to do it yesterday, buddy. We've got a play for you.
Everybody sees my point. That's a good tease.
Yeah. I mean, I want to do that, and I can't go on today and not at least mention the passing of Keith Jackson, because if you're a fan of college football, that was a big damn deal to hear of his passing while we were off and while we were away. Now, it wasn't shocking. He was 89 years old, but it did give you a moment, gave you a pause to take a step back and thought about all of those moments that you remember Keith Jackson's calls. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Drill kit and get a free tool promotion exclusively at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. Cornerstone Tool & Fastener is also your home for OSHA compliant dust solutions for all your concrete needs. 2 locations to choose from: 1110 Stuckey Avenue and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon.
Whether you're making updates to existing properties or building new construction, Lowe's has savings for pros. Now through February 7th, get 25% off all in-stock kitchen cabinets. Plus, save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. And don't forget, you can save yourself some time by ordering online at lowesforpros.com and pick up your order at our Pro Desk. Offer subject to credit approval. Can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Out on the golf course, there are the obvious hazards. There's the pond, the bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples. The row of houses out of bounds on the right. The angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball. Even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills 1 person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
I'm going to Gordo's. Gonna get some bungalow chungala at the Gordo's. Drink a margarita. See my man Eddie.
Dude, we're driving there now. I'm sitting next to you. If you got something to say, I'm here for you, bro.
It's better when we see each other at the Gordo's. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and pick up 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for $24.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and save money with 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for $24.99. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
We do have headlines for you later on this afternoon. So the passing of Keith Jackson brought about a lot of responses, obviously. But the most common refrain that I heard or watched discussed on my TV was that of the fact that Keith Jackson was the voice of college football. And I think that's as simple as that, right? That's a hell of an honor to be thought of as the quintessential voice in the game. And Keith Jackson was the voice of college football.
Yeah, even in my era. You know, and I grew up in the 90s. I could remember some games from the early 90s, but not the entire decade, and even still into the early 2000s. I think he walked away for a couple of years and came back.
It was a mistake.
Yeah, okay. Was there something behind the scenes? I don't know the story.
No. Keith just he was ready to go, and I remember I don't want to get mired down that. His call of the Southern Cal Texas game was evidence that time was up.
Right.
And I think it's a hard thing, though, as a broadcaster, right? I mean, you get pulled back in because you are, in his case, the voice of something, and everybody loves to hear you. But, it's a game in which you got to think on your toes. You got to be pretty fast, right? And sometimes it leaves you, especially as you get into your late 70s, early 80s. And so there's no shame in that. But, when you hear it happen, it's very different than the people who work behind the scenes any one place. In broadcasting, when it starts to fall off, it starts to fall off. But think how long he was great. 50-plus years. I mean, that's a run. I mean, if you're his family, and I don't know that dynamic, but if you're his family, that's what you take solace in. That your grandfather, your father, whomever he was to you, was the voice of college football, a classic voice at that, and he was sustained excellence for the better part of 5-6 decades. We could all be so lucky to have a run like that. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. And so my earliest memories of college football are of Keith Jackson calling those games, and to be credited with naming, Michigan Stadium the Big House, and to have coined the phrase the Big Daddy of them all. The granddaddy, yeah. Excuse me, Big Daddy. I just said Big House. Granddaddy of them all for the Rose Bowl. That's just so cool. And he was that guy. I mean, I remember being at parties. I was at a party in 1991 on somebody's deck, and I met a guy who was a Nebraska graduate. We're still friends to this day. He was getting his PhD at FSU, and he had grown up. His father went to Nebraska. His mother went to Nebraska. His brother was going to Nebraska. Family upon family member had gone to Nebraska. So there they were, Nebraska Cornhuskers. Here I was in Knoll, and we're having this conversation, and we're getting to know each other, and one of the first things we start talking about regarding college football, two very disparate fan bases, is Keith Jackson. I mean, it just came up, the shared affinity for when you hear his voice setting the scene for college football Saturday's biggest game.
Yeah, it's just not the same now, is it, with the primetime game?
Really hasn't.
It's very corporate. It doesn't feel emotional.
No, and you know, he was a guy that you know, he even made Bob Greasy tolerable, and that's just a hell of a thing.
Bob, unbelievable. Remember the Orange Bowl a couple years ago?
Yeah.
He's ripping on his son for the entire time he's in the booth.
It was bizarre.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, he's kind of an aloof character.
Yeah.
But that's a hell of a testament to Keith Jackson. Made him tolerable.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, I think it's amazing to hear. You know, we oftentimes talk about our age difference, and every now and then I'll mention a player or a coach or a game or a moment in baseball or football where you'll go, you got me on that one, Jeff. Wasn't around, or I was 3. You know, I don't really remember that. You know, whatever it is.
Over
right?
the head.
Yeah, I could just see it wash over you, where you'll say something, and I'll be like, he doesn't know what player I'm talking about. Then again, that player retired in '83. He wasn't born. You know, that kind of thing. And so, but what's neat is that there you are just now saying, oh, Keith Jackson was the voice.
Oh, even still.
And, you know, from my youth to yours.
Well, it's one of my favorite things to play when we get to football season is I play the old ABC Saturday football theme. Like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Because then Keith Jackson would take it from there.
Set the scene.
I mean, Musburger was the B team. You're like, oh, we got Musburger. We weren't
like
big
Musburger,
enough for
but
Keith
yeah.
Jackson. Yeah, but in those days, it was like, well, you know, you were looking live. No. Give me Keith.
Give me Keith,
I
baby.
want Keith for the game.
We have Keith, don't we? I think we got a clip
Work's
here.
done, yes.
Oh, well, do it, baby. It's beautiful.
This is why it's hard to play here. This is why people wince when they see games don't go on their schedule. It's tough. That's a lot of noise. On 3rd and 10, Ward throws and got it done. Ward Dunn is all the way. They won't catch him, I don't think. No. Touchdown, Florida State. Give it to Charlie. Go ahead. Yeah, you can call off your party and just mail it to him. Just mail the Heisman to Charlie Ward. That is a heartbreaker for Florida.
For Florida. I was there at that game with my stepfather, and it's in that moment while Keith is making that call that I'm pelvic thrusting the Gator fan in front of me. I'm just saying. That happened. There was pelvic thrusts, general direction.
General direction, yeah.
It was probably not appropriate. It was probably infinitely frustrating for said Gator fan and the surrounding company, but there I was, thrusting away.
It's impossible to envision.
Imagine that. Yeah, it happened. My stepdad said, please, sit down. But, yes, that was a moment to behold, and so many more with Keith Jackson. Not me thrusting, but Keith's call.
Right, yeah.
So we doffed the cap.
It was in sync with Warwick Dunn's dragging of the feet.
Which I loved. So we say rest in peace to Keith Jackson. Now, here's a call from K-Fan Sports Radio 100.3. Imagine which one this will be. My goodness, New Orleans fans, if you're listening, however many of you that consistently listen to this show, I'll give you a hug and a fair warning now. This is the call, the one that you probably don't want to hear. Listen to, I might note, the resignation and the voice of the Vikings play-by-play announcer and color analyst. The game is over, and they know it. They know the Vikings have once again come up short at home in heartbreaking fashion until they didn't, until a miracle occurs. And here it is.
It's 3rd down. 3 receivers right, Thielen left. Marshawn Lattimore 12 yards from Adam. Case on a deep drop, steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side, caught by Diggs. Stay up! Oh, my God! Oh, my God! 30! No way! Touchdown! Are you kidding me? Miracle finish! It's a Minneapolis miracle! Stephon Diggs and the Minnesota Vikings have walked up on the New Orleans Saints. It's a 61-yard Minneapolis miracle.
So, again, that's K-Fan Sports Radio 100.3. You know what I like about that call is the utter shock. Stay in bounds is great. But what I also remember is that same announce team calling the missed 22-yard field goal from point-blank range. You recall I was driving.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that. I'm like, oh, chip shot field goal to win it and move on. When he misses that, the excitement you heard there was the same level of disappointment you heard that. It was this absolute shock and dismay of, that just happened? My man just missed a 20-plus yard field goal.
Well, remember the on-air moaning, when Brett Favre threw across his body against the Saints in the 2009 NFC title game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How do you throw that ball?
Well,
you're Brett Favre.
Well,
man.
you live and die with that guy, right?
And he also was concussed 5 times over because of Bountygate that day.
Yeah, he had also taken a beating the likes of which we've never seen and still stood standing. That's really rather remarkable. He actually deserved a better fate than that. But that said, I have 4 friends that are Vikings fans, and I, for years I've wondered how it is I've known so many Vikings fans in Tallahassee. And when you and your girlfriend got as close as you have, I added another to the list, and I was like, "What? Another Vikings fan in Tallahassee? This is nuts." So when it happened, I felt genuine joy in my heart for those people, because I've seen them be on the wrong end of countless heartbreaks. I mean, there they were, that team that was 15-0 and losing, or 15-1, whatever. But if you recall that team that lost, and then you remember, like I just said, the missed field goal, and you think of what was about to happen here, blowing a 17-point lead at home. You had that game won, and it all got away. And it was a sure thing. It was over. New Orleans had done, Drew Brees had done what he needed to do. They had kicked the field goal. You were going to lose. And it's the moment that you're bereft of hope when all of a sudden, like a lightning bolt, you're struck by something that gives you life again. It's amazing, right? That's the joy that you can just see wash over people, that makes you smile, even if you don't care about the team, which I'm fairly indifferent about.
Yeah, no, what was crazy, too, if you listen to the call, it's the perspective of being in the building, right? The difference between being in the building and watching on television, because what does the color announcer say when he catches the ball?
Stay in bounds.
That's not what anybody who's watching television says, because there's still time on the clock. It's get out of bounds so you can kick the game-winning field goal.
There's nobody there.
Right. There's no way, given the angle the safety Williams takes, that you think that he's the final defender on the play.
Right,
you would think there's another
player
or two that is going to appear on the screen.
You wouldn't have just risked your season.
Do not try to get to the 5-yard line instead of going out of bounds at the 15 and run out of time. I'm going through these machinations because I'm sitting with a couple of lifelong Vikings fans.
But then you see he's just running freely.
I mean, once he gets to the 10, then nobody can touch him. Even if somebody comes on the screen, it's too late. It was just I've never seen.
Where is everybody?
That's the cliche. I've never seen anything quite like that in sports before, and I'll never forget where I was and the circumstances of that game. It was just wow, what a stunning finish.
I jokingly I think it's a really simple description. I just said, love me some sports, right? I mean, that's only sports gives you that. Like, really, only sport. Every time you think you've seen it all, something like that happens, and you go, what in the hell? I mean, Hail Marys, there's a possibility somebody's going to catch that. So you just sit with bated breath. Yeah. This is ludicrous. The game is over. They're done. Listen to his voice at the beginning of that call. It's of the man being led to execution. He's calling the end of the season, and he knows it.
It's 3rd down. 3 receivers right, Thielen left. Marshawn Lattimore, 12 yards from Adam. Case on a deep drop, steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side, caught by Diggs. Stay up! Oh my God!
There's the oh my God. So the oh my God moment is him with this realization that this is going to happen. Like, this is crazy. It's 3rd down. I mean, he sounds so down at the beginning of that.
It's 3rd down.
Yeah, like, sorry, I got to do this, guys. I got to call this. It's my it's my job. A little bit of hope is in the voice as he realizes that there's a little time to throw. And then Case steps in the pocket, and he sees there's a chance that they may have a shot at maybe getting out of bounds, kicking a field goal. It's the simultaneous caught, that dude falling into his own defender, his teammate, and realizing there's nobody behind him. That's why you hear stay in bounds at the top of his lungs. He knows he's gone.
Right, and if he went out of bounds, you can't blame him, because then he's thinking about the situation. There's no way that anybody, would allow me to have a free run at the end zone. It's just... Yeah.
Yeah, given the circumstances, given what was on the line, that's probably one of the craziest plays, if not the craziest plays I've seen in professional football. We've seen guys return kicks for touchdowns.
Aaron Rodgers, Hail Marys, to the point where you expect them to happen.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right? We've seen any number of Hail Marys, right? Yeah, weird things happen. Balls get tipped, and the next thing you know, some guy comes running underneath to make a catch in a play like that. But we've seen things like that, but this is just a standard play. I mean, it's It can't happen.
Well, the hard part is this is where you're kind of between a rock and a hard place, if that's possible, as a defensive coordinator. You're guarding the sidelines, and you have to commit many bodies to the sidelines, so you funnel things to the middle. So that leaves only a couple of people over the top. The one thing I would say, though, is if you ever have multi-linebacker sets, like the first play of that drive, I can't recall this play because all I remember is the catch and the turn. But the first play of the drive, they got 2 linebackers near the line of scrimmage. Why? I mean, what are you doing? One will suffice.
Yeah.
The first play is the only play where they could have attacked the middle of the field and gotten into field goal range and rightfully expected to spike the football. But in this play, you stack the sidelines, leaving only one defender, and he calculated his angle and he chose the wrong calculation.
I think he got caught in between.
No interference was a thought, clearly.
The moment that you trigger to come up and make a play as a safety, you have to do so fully committed. And I don't think that he is. And you have to do so armed with the knowledge that you're the last line of defense. And in a situation like this, it's a bigger deal than if it's the middle of the second quarter and you take a chance, obviously. I mean, you have to know that under no circumstance can anybody get behind you, and no matter what happens. And so it's like he commits and then realizes I'm late and I don't want to get called for interference. Oh, no, what do I he ends up doing nothing. He ends up kind of doing nothing.
Right.
Because he couldn't figure it out. You actually feel really sorry for him. I mean, obviously, if you're a Saints fan hearing this, you go to hell. I never want to see him again, even though he's a good young player.
Yeah, no, I do, but I think there's a little bit of irony here, too, and you can't ever know, but given that he was the one that intercepted Keenum's pass at 17-7, first play after, they score and they make it a 2-score game, and that's just an asinine throw and decision. But he makes that interception. You wonder if the positive reinforcement of triggering on the ball like that is something that came with him to that final play. If that had never happened and you're in the exact same circumstance, does he take a more reasonable angle? It's hard to ever know that.
It gets you thinking, and obviously for the two fan bases, we're talking about two extremely different reactions, but it makes you think about the moments where you've been either most enthralled, excited, shocked, whatever it might be, by a victory that was implausible, or absolutely crestfallen and left just to stare blankly off into the ether, right? I mean, those two extremes are what come to mind for everybody that didn't have a favorite team involved in that matchup, where you literally were fairly indifferent, save for your betting interest or if you're in a pool of some sort or whatever it might be, right? I mean,
yeah, well, the funny part for Vikings fans, and since I was watching with a couple, I can tell you, they don't like the Saints at all because of Bountygate. And obviously, then you have the turnover by Favre and then the Peterson fumble in that game as well. But it's about Bountygate. It's about, you beat our quarterback half to hell in a dirty way.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you advance in this game, ultimately. So for them, it was sweet, sweet justice on top of the fact that you're shocked about all of these wrongs being righted with the missed kicks, and then getting blown out. The Giants blew them out in this playoff season where they were the better team all regular season long.
Sure.
They play the Giants and just get absolutely waxed.
Or the fact that they're 0-4 in the Super Bowl.
Right. The whole but that should be enough. But on top of that, it was revenge against the Saints, who took something from them in a year that should have been theirs, 2009, and it wasn't. So there was a lot of emotions being processed.
Well, I know this. I know that if you're a Saints fan, you won't soon forget that. You'll never forget that for as long as you're a fan of a franchise, because here's the other side of that. Drew Brees did what Hall of Fame quarterbacks do. He did it on the road with all the pressure in the world, and it should have been enough. And it turns out that it wasn't. Now, in the midst of all of this, talk, and I did not go to break, which I should have, I failed to properly congratulate the Jacksonville Jaguars, whom I actually the brashness of that team cracks me up. I love it because they're taking on obviously the standard now in the AFC, and they have a chance to do the 1-2 to the two most elite franchises over the last however many years, right? And to have gone up to Pittsburgh and to basically have said, especially when you think about 21-0 with the way that game started, that, I thought I couldn't help but think of Jalen Ramsey and others going, we kind of mentioned this might happen. The fact that you were so confident, perplexed us, after the ass beating we gave you before.
He said that in the post-game locker room with an F-bomb mixed in. He did. I excuse my language, but I bleeping told you. that I didn't understand why they were so confident coming into this game.
He just doesn't care at all.
No, I mean, you saw his, we're going to win that.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't be stunned if that's a game in the second half. They defend, and if they can run and not make Bortles have to do too much, they can win that game.
This thing goes one of two ways. They slay the dragon, and they're the new bad boys on the block, or they lose the game. Bortles is the reason, and Ramsey comes out against Bortles, and it turns into a really ugly scene.
Because this is the downside of Ramsey.
Exactly.
For all of his bravado and brashness and things that you like to embrace if you're a Jags fan and a Noel, he's also not a great teammate. He will roll your ass the second things go wrong.
Especially if you're a quarterback. Ask McGuire or Golson or Bortles in circumstances past. He does not care.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Original Sunday brunch and a new outdoor pergola. Make memories at Andrews. Better than ever.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
Seasons change, but your confidence in your home comfort system shouldn't. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, you'll be comfortable in your home all year long. This winter, take advantage of great rebates and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Learn more online at baranoac.com.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Florida license number CAC 057652.
Jackson Hewitt has big news. The no-fee refund advance just got bigger. Now you could get up to $3,200 today. Go to Jackson Hewitt and you could get up to $3,200 with a bigger-than-ever no-fee refund advance 0% APR loan. Don't delay. Go to Jackson Hewitt today and you could get up to $3,200. Optional tax refund loan provided by Medevac, not the actual tax refund. You can e-file without applying. Fees for other optional products may apply. Availability and loan amount subject to conditions and locations. Bigger is a comparison to the maximum loan amounts previously available for the refund advance at Jackson Hewitt. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
In winter, you can practically hear your skin changing. Drying out, flaking, tightening, becoming itchy, irritated, and inflamed. You need the fast relief of Cortisone 10 Intensive Healing Anti-Itch Cream. Unlike regular lotions, Cortisone 10 relieves itch and irritation with 1% hydrocortisone, the strongest non-prescription itch medicine, plus 7 healing moisturizers. With Cortisone 10,
Snowball fight!
Winter can just sound fun again. Cortisone 10. Feel the heal. Use as directed.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. your pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities says 'tis the season to save energy and money. And that's why your own utility says it's time to focus on those Energy Star appliances like clothes washers, dishwashers, refrigerators, and freezers, even pool pumps and water heaters. Rebates range from $40 to $300. AC and heat pump rebates go as high as $750. And when you buy Energy Star appliances, you save twice. You'll save when you get the rebate from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, and you'll save again on your utility bill, because it's a fact that Energy Star appliances use less energy than their non-Energy Star counterparts. So look for the Energy Star when you shop local for appliances this holiday season. Get all the Energy Star rebate details at talgov.com. Your own utilities. Click on products and services, and all will be revealed. 'Tis the season to save. Save energy and save money with the City of Tallahassee Utilities Energy Star rebates. You'll save with the rebate, and you save on your utility bill. Happy holidays from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities, and America's #1 public utility.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Dress coming up here in the 4 and 5 o'clock hours on some of the headlines. The coaching, not carousel, but the vacancies that we're still waiting to fill. And it's starting to get to be where people go, "Hey man, we gonna fill these vacancies here?" I got you.
Clearly, we're waiting on Loxley.
Yes,
clearly.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. And Florida State may need to move on.
So Alabama hires an offensive coordinator, and the dominoes should fall one way or the other.
Yes, I believe that's exactly what's going on. In the interim, it just leaves people a little restless as you get moving towards National Signing Day. I get that. Prior to this, I've been like, it's whatever. It'll be all right. It is the 16th. I mean, I am beginning to say
we are 3 weeks away.
We kind of do need to go ahead and fill this thing out.
But, man, they're getting commits. We're already into the top 25 in the recruiting class rankings. Whoa, look out.
I recall saying that I thought if we could salvage something to within the top 20, it would have been yeoman's work done in a situation that is new for him and really for everybody with the early signing period. And then, of course, he's having to do this at a time that he's taking a new job and putting together a staff. So this was going to be a difficult task always. And if you salvage a top 20 class and you're a little, maybe at least in terms of pleasing the fans, a little slow in filling out the rest of your staff, well, so be it. I'll live. But, again, that it's nice that it's in concert with having success on the recruiting trail. Otherwise, we would be going, okay, what the hell? We're in the 30s or 40s in recruiting, and we haven't filled out our staff. What the hell is going on here? Then you would be.
Sure.
But the fact that they're making inroads with recruits, and I do think, like you said, we're clearly waiting on one guy here. Let's see what that deal is.
Well, and, he's also the voice of the offense, so at least you've got the defensive
he's gonna call
staff
the plays,
filled
right.
out.
That was the bigger hire anyhow. That was always the bigger hire.
Sure.
I'm not nearly as dismayed by that as I am freaking Clemson having Christian Wilkins and Farrell and Bryant and Joseph all say we're coming back. Like, what the hell? That's a much bigger deal to us than whether or not he's hired the rest of his staff.
How'd that Pedialyte treat you?
Well,
if I can say
stuff.
it without slurring.
I'm trying to stay hydrated. Gotta make it happen.
My favorite thing about that is it's clearly for older people too, because if you look at the calories thing on the nutrition facts, look at the giant font. One more.
Oh yeah.
For the calories,
for the old
everything
people,
else is tiny. It's like there's your 35 for a serving.
You're gonna be okay. Get hydrated, old man.
You seem to have come to life a little bit though. That's good.
It gives you a nice little buzz.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Pedialyte does.
Yeah,
Gives you
a healthy buzz.
Yeah, no, it's like, woo, I'm rejuvenated temporarily. Hopefully by tomorrow, next day, I'm all the way back. I don't know what, I've been fighting. I'm a fighter, Tom. I've been fighting it. I felt that cold coming on 2.5 days ago. I was like, oh, no, we're not doing this.
Big Daddy Jay's a war daddy.
Big Daddy Jay's got to look at the over-unders tonight for the NHL, and I'll tweet out whether or not I'm going to be going all overs or all unders. I like to go all one or the other.
There's been a lot of unders this season compared to the last couple of seasons.
Well, it started out with all overs, and then it kind of came back down to the norm. So we'll see. We'll see. I need you to look. Let's look together, shall we? Let's look at these and decide whether or not Big Daddy is going to be partaking in the Red Russians of success with the overs or the unders tonight. We'll have to take a look at it and see which direction we go. Well, some of the headlines forthcoming. Stay with.